You are an absolute fool to believe that the future of software is anything but open. Are we there now? Oh, obviously not. But in good time, proprietary software will become a thing of the past. It's a pretty bold statement. But watch the trends. Watch what's happening now. Watch what's been happening. Some of the more powerful efforts to be spearheaded by like-minded individuals have happened because of the open ethos. Now you as a regular person, a user, maybe you're a power user, a consumer, someone who has to use software to do something, do you care much whether it's open source or proprietary? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it boils down to a matter of cost for you. And that's fine to think of it that way. But just because something's free doesn't mean it's open. And there's a huge reason why open is better than just free. I mean, I could create something and say, here you go, and you could use it, but then I could say, well, you can't know how I did it. And you say, well, yeah, but what if I want to make it better? So, well, then you could use this part of it, but I'm not going to give you this whole thing. Well, then what happens when I die? My legacy is dead. It's a dead end. It's gone. Because it's all locked up in here. Or it's locked up inside some licensing strategy. If you really want to scare yourself, think about all of your social data. All these websites that you belong to and things that you're putting on these websites. You don't own those websites. You're agreeing to an end-user license agreement. Whether you mean to or not, I mean, it's kind of implied. And you're throwing yourself into silos of which you may never escape. And the more you get tied into a proprietary system, the more difficult it is to remove yourself because of the momentum inside of these closed systems. Closed systems are scary, at least to me. I mean, think about it. Who's able to check and double check the software that is running in the world? Yes, you can trust one firm or another, but what if it has to do with very sensitive data? It could be argued either side. But wouldn't you rather know that the community as a whole, the people who care most about the software, are doing things to keep the software up to date, rather than expecting some corporation to do it? I'm not saying there's not a place for corporations, and I'm definitely not saying there's not a place for open source software inside of corporations. You've got open source software running on your computer right now, and you probably don't even know it. I'm guessing. I can't back that up. But if you've got Firefox on your computer, that's open source. Now let's just say Firefox, this amazing web browser, was closed. And let's say the developers decided, you know what? We don't want to do it anymore. But you like it, but we want it. Well, yeah, but you can't. We don't want to do it anymore. And if it was closed, well, that's it. Software is dead. It's no longer living. And you use living software every day. When you visit a web page, it's running software. Over there on the web server where the page is being served up from. It's working for you invisibly. And as the tools get easier to use, as people become more and more experienced, as accessibility increases, as costs decrease, people are going to start realizing that creating proprietary software suddenly isn't as valuable is creating open software, because the world is going open, whether people who are in control want it to go open or not. In fact, yes, Firefox sprang out of Mozilla. If Mozilla was closed, the world would never have Firefox. The world wouldn't even know what it was. The web would be a different place. Apple picked up WebKit and based Safari on it. WebKit, open source. In my opinion, one of the fastest browsers on any platform. And it's open. Anybody could take that ball and run with it. That's empowering. That's amazing. That is the perfect mixture of community and product. Because the product is driven by the community. In many ways, vice versa. The decisions I make for my business, at least as far as the web is concerned, I believe are going to be driven by the knowledge that open is just fundamentally better. Transparency is just fundamentally better. Knowing that if I could create something and that it lives forever, and that it can adapt, and that it can change, and that I touched it once, that's all I've wanted. If you ask me what I do, I'm creating things, sharing experiences, just trying new things, connecting with other people, and creating with them. My business has only been able to grow because of open source software and open ideals. I can't see it any other way. Some would argue the opposite. Some would say that open source is a fad. I don't believe so. And that doesn't mean that I think every product out there that's open source is worth using. Certainly not. Last night, many of you tuned into the live stream at live.pirillo.com and heard me installing Windows, or reinstalling Windows for my brother. I was basically building or rebuilding a computer for him. And as I was installing software, I made a few choices. Yes, certainly, whatever Windows came with. I put Firefox on there because I figured, hey, he's going to like it. And I know it's nice. But when it came down to installing Office software, I didn't install OpenOffice. We've talked about that before too. It's open source Office productivity software. Why did I decide not to do it? I didn't think it fit his needs. Really didn't. I didn't want to have to explain to him how to transfer one document from here to another machine, and specifically in the way he works. He's a school teacher, and so he's got access at home and at school. So a better solution for him was Google Docs. It's free, not open source, lives on the web. You could do document editing, spreadsheet editing, presentation editing. For the most part, everything you need to do with Office software, at least as far as he's concerned and what he would likely get out of it. But if Ben, my brother, asked me about some kind of Office software, my next line of recommendation would likely be OpenOffice. He's probably got a Microsoft Office discount at his school. But just to explain to people that there are alternatives to traditional ways of thinking it's one hell of a prospect. There's so many out there who still believe that the only software available is what sits on a store shelf. Oh, it's such a lie. It's such a lie. The best software doesn't come in a box. Proprietary or not, closed or not, it's out there. Everything you do in one way, shape, or form is being influenced by open mechanisms. And you're saying, well, no, I can't figure out a way. Trust me, it's like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing. 6 degrees of open source. It's there. And pretty soon, as far as software is concerned, it's going to be open. Period. I don't know how soon it's going to happen. But I know it will happen. I'm curious as to your thoughts. It's just kind of a general conversation point. We've talked about open source before, and we'll continue to talk about it. I've created things and released them for the world to use however they see fit. Open source the stuff. Why not? I figured it's better to give it to the community than it is to hold on to it for my own. That's not my value in this world. My value in this world will be seen long after I'm gone. At least that's my goal. And as much as I can do, I will do. What about you? My email address is chris@pirillo.com. I'm sure you've got opinions on this one way or another. And it's not a black and white thing, necessarily. There are many shades of gray. Just be curious to know what you think. Really curious to know if you've been involved in any open source projects over the years, or if you've considered, starting one or joining one. We're streaming live on my website, well, courtesy of service at ustream.tv. That's not open source. But my website is running on open source software on an open source platform, which I love, at least as far as the web service is concerned. So you're welcome to swing by anytime. You can use a chat client, either on the desktop or right there on the website. And we're live 24 hours a day, typically talking tech, at live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.